Okay, we're going to go through a relative start to finish on a project, even including bringing the directory structure and being cognizant of getting the right template. So I've started Civil 3D here, and eventually I'm going to go ahead and bring that back, but for now I'm going to pull it down and show you that out on my computer, in the K drive if it's mapped, in Civil 3D Development and Support and Research, there's a file structure that inside of it has a design seed file that is called xtopo flatten September 22nd, or something like that. So that was when I last updated. Inside of that file, it's there. So when you start your project, you just go ahead and rename that right away. So what you're going to do is, again, not my rules, the DOT rules. You're going to right-click, copy that to where you're keeping your projects on your H drive. In this case, I've got it down in a CD project. So you're going to go Edit, Paste, right? Right away, rename the directory structure. So I'm going to go with my last 4 digits and then something like September 24th in this case. And then go down underneath in Design, in Surfaces, in there, and rename that to the same base number. And that theme should get you going. Then, of course, you're going to want to keep all your data in the right place. So here, I've got some survey data and I've got some original data. I want to now go and get and put in the right spot the data I want. So in this case, I am going to my computer. I'm going out to the K drive, and this point, I'm transferring data in, and I'm going to use the Jefferson one. So I'm going to copy that, place it in the right spot, and then realistically, I might want to go ahead and rename that one even. Not that you should be changing too much data. 4606, Jeff DOT data. So once that is all set up, now you're set to go in Civil 3D start to finish, if you would. So now you can go File, Open, and get really good at going to the right spot. Becomes incredibly important and quite confusing, but all the file names are about the same, so you got to make sure that you're going to the right place. We're going to Design, we're going to Surfaces, we're going to that, and we go ahead and hit Open. At this point in time, I know you've been using points and importing here. I'm going to recommend that you go to the Insert. You don't necessarily need to. Points from File, PNEZD. Go to the right spot. Don't go out to there. Get in the habit of going to the right spot. The right spot is your H drive in the right project. All the way down. Going ahead and bringing it in. Zoom extents, and there they all are. You remember that one thing I skipped, unfortunately, that we can now change, as I should have as soon as I got in here, and I'm going to change the base data anyway. I'm going to edit the drawing settings so we don't have to go through it each time and tell it is in Wisconsin. Until you're working for a firm where you're jumping around, you're probably always going to be in State Plains Central. U.S. foot, that's a Harn. NAD 83. We should check with Greg what you shot in. Hit OK there. And then realistically change your scale to something reasonable. And you have everything to the right general elevation. Now this hopefully has been adjusted. So now when I do a line from the node to the node and list that line, it is all in 2D. And you see it is. I'm going to go V point 1, 1, 1, and most everything looks like it's all in 2D. I type plan. Those are 2 great commands. And I eventually now have to figure out something here. I need to go in a backsite here, an iron pipe and an iron pipe there. That I'm going to have to actually get a length and adjust it at a certain length. So a couple of things I'm going to do here. I'm going to double check my sidewalk, a line from the node of that to the node of that. I'm going to list it last. Listing last, that's about 4.8, should be about 5 foot wide if my shots are correct. Line from the node to the node. List last, 4.8. Pretty interesting if that sidewalk is not actually 4.8 feet. That would begin to make me think that something's off with the data. Line from the node to the node. List last, 4.78. So something either in my gun or who knows, we'll have to go back and check our control potentially on this job because sidewalks are usually 5 foot across. Not necessarily, and so that's what you've got laid out there, which means I am going to adjust this actually based on a tangent because I actually had set up and shot to an edge, and I'm going to do some adjustment here on my data. So that iron pipe, because we are based on an assumed coordinate system, and I'd like to get it back to due north, at least as makes sense down the center of the sidewalk. So I am going to draw a line from the node of the iron pipe to the node, and I'm going to note that. List last. That is 151 feet. And if we're looking at a small angle of 2.4 feet, we can actually know the angle to adjust it. We're going to adjust everything, the tangent, and the tangent would be 2.4 over 151. 2.4 over 151, and you realize the sine and the tangent are essentially the same thing at that small angle. I'll bring up this calculator here, all programs, accessories, calculator, and if I want to know the angle, it's 2.41 divided by 151. Of course, if I want to know it in degrees, I can say times 180, thank you, Kaylee, and then divided by, I can't believe they don't have pi on our 3.1417. Probably incorrect. And we're looking at an angle of 0.91 degrees. So I'm going to try that and double check where it is. 0.91 degrees. We need to rotate everything back and we need to rotate everything down. So we'll start this up again. I'm going to go through the whole project right now. I'm going to start a project again working at it in 2D, but I have my general work all done. I'm going to skip the next obvious step, which is to put in all of your lines, I'm looking at the time here, is to put in all your break lines, but I'm just going to now do a boundary. Skipping the layering for a little bit, I've got to turn off my nodes here. I'm going to go around, make a boundary. I've still got a couple adjustments to do on this today. I've got a boundary here. Now, remember, I have made my right-click, edit drawing settings. I've got everything in the right coordinate system. Later on, when we bring in data, it should align. If we bring in other city data, I can go to settings here, and I'm going to go ahead to Prospector and now make a surface. Right-click, create a surface. Again, put your number in there. Try to keep these names together as much as you can. As a habit, not always as a necessity. You're going to go ahead now and remember you're going to generally do 3 things. I think the program makes you do point groups first. Right click, add, you're going to add those, and I guess we can go ahead and add, why not, depending on what the DOT is doing. And then finally we can go ahead and add the boundary. We've got a point groups. We would add break lines. When we added them, they would be by proximity because these are not in 3D. We're now going to add boundaries. Right-click, add. We're going to add non-destructive break line, destructive break line. We'll check that one out. I'll just say temp boundary. An external boundary, you hit an OK. Grab the boundary and you see it changes that tin. You now have a tin. You can go ahead and do an alignment. I'm going to take an alignment straight down the road here. You make sure your snaps are off. I'm just going to use I'm not using my layering at the moment, just showing you the tools. I'm going to do a P line, which I never do. I'm going to do a line from right on the edge here all the way through to someplace like there. And now I'm going to go ahead and go to home. I've made a polyline alignment going from south to north. If I don't like that, realistic, I should be better off going spacebar, rotate 180. I'm going to go north to south. From north to south, I am going to now create an alignment. Never start at 0 plus 0, 0. Try to give that alignment if you can, 4606, some mark, drive. Try not to put spaces in your names. Hit OK. The alignment is done. It doesn't look like it took it, does it? It does not look like it took the alignment, so we'll try that again. Close that out. Alignment from objects. Select your object. Enter to accept. That's what I missed. 4606 underscore September. I'm going to go with September 24th underscore mark underscore drive. Starting station 1000. We'll have stations assigned. Go down to here. Hit OK. I get a visual clue that the alignment is laid out. We now have to go ahead and do the profile, create the surface profile. You're going to add it from this surface. You're going to write these things down. You notice here, Mark, the first one I did was wrong. You get a visual clue that it was not correct because it's not have the stationing in. The second one, however, is you write down those numbers. It goes from 10 to 13 plus 31.03, and you note that it might be 029. You add the surface, you hit OK. You do not immediately stick it in the profile view. You do that next. You've made a surface profile. You go to profile view, create a profile view. Once again, make sure you're grabbing the right thing. Station range, you write it down. You click 10,000. Height, you never take what it gives you. I'm going to go with 80. Next, you go through lots of different stuff, create a profile view. The one non-negotiable. The profile view origin is the station and then the elevation times 10, and it won't necessarily put it in the right spot. You're going to live with that. Elevation times 10 is 80 plus 0. I guess if I go on that base information from my recollection, I go zoom. Minus V for view, W for window, plan, overall, or overall plan. Give it a corner from here to here. Now you can go V for view, or you can go, better yet, Z for zoom. Center, you know where it is, 1080 times 10 with this high magnification of 100. You check it. It's not going to be right. It is not going to be right, so you do an ID at the intersection, and then you get to moving. ID at the intersection, you get to moving. I'm running out of time. I need to move that 1,000 feet. Move this. Click at 1,000 feet in the 180 direction, and then you check at ID intersection. It's not wrong to put it in the wrong place. It is wrong to keep it in the wrong place. Thanks for listening. We'll pick up on this in a second.